What are the two things that they didn't teach in real estate school to be a successful realtor? Welcome to Shop Talk for Realtors. I'm Joe Matuella.
Coach Keith Dean, how you doing?
All right, so Keith and I are here today to talk about the two of the most incredibly important parts about being a realtor that they never bothered to teach in real estate school. They mentioned it. I remember them mentioning it. Mm-hmm. They say something like it's our job to go out there and get customers, right? That just having a license doesn't get them to flock to your door.
No.
Oh, by the way, it's already 85 degrees here in Stuart, Florida, and on top of it, we're under the halogen light, so it's probably good 105. Not much of a breeze, so you'll be watching us.
Yeah.
Towel off.
I will become Keith Sweat today.
Yeah. All right. So the truth, right? So when we said two things, it's broken down in two, right? So getting clients. How do you get clients? It's lead generation and lead cultivation. Cultivation is follow up in a simple way, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So So managing a team, we have people come to us all the time, and they'll say things like, 50%. We have to pay 50% to be on the team. And I'm like, no, you don't pay 50. You don't pay anything to be on the team. What you have to do is it's a 50% split, because we do 90% of all the lead generation. You, right, as a person on a team, you have two aspirations: either to grow within the team or grow and eventually move out of a team. And so we take either path. We allow either path on our team. But the point is that we want people to learn how to cultivate leads, for themselves and be self-sustaining. If you can't control your own lead flow, you're never truly in business, right? You're at the risk of your vendors.
Well, you have choices. And your choices are you can pay someone to get the leads for you, or you put in sweat equity. So it's cash or sweat equity. Right. You're looking at somebody who's been doing his business for almost 20, 21 years, and I never paid for a lead. I would go out and get the leads. Now, has times changed? Sure, times have changed. There's just so many more things going on.
Does that make me more of a prostitute?
Well,
I pay for a lot of leads.
Might feel like
yeah,
that,
I do.
But the thing of it is, if we don't have white knuckles, then we're not getting in front of people, and our CEO talks about that all the time. It is a matter of getting in front of people these days. The market's changed. We went through a time where you push buttons and you get leads. Right. You got through a time when you push button and you do AI. Isn't there AI out there now with access? A machine talks to people, right? And it gets them excited about buying or selling real estate, and then you're excited about speaking to them, and that all happens too. But it don't start till you start seeing each other, right? Our relationship didn't start until we actually started seeing each other, had a conversation. That was even before the pandemic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was back in the days when people actually spoke to each other in person.
Oh yeah. And
it's funny too. Think about not only so kids. So if you're our children coming up through the cell phone age and then into COVID, everything went digital, everything went virtual. So in their most formative years, whether it was middle school, high school, or college, they learned to do everything online, and so many people have lost the ability to communicate directly with others. I actually give my daughter a plug. She said she was nominated for Beginning Teacher of the Year when she first graduated college at 21, and I was like, wow, like the Matuella work ethic, and she was like, no, actually, Dad. She goes, I hated you when I was 15 and you wouldn't let me have a cell phone, but now I realize it's why I got nominated. I know how to communicate to people. Exactly. In person.
Exactly.
Right? So that's a big deal. So so communicating in person, we'll start there, and then we'll go into paid lead gen.
Well, the thing of it is this. Real estate comes in cycles. Okay, so we go through different cycles. We are now back in that cycle that we need to communicate more together. People are starving really to talk to people, right? They really are. They want that personal touch, right? But here's the other thing. Guess what else also increased on the pandemic? Scams. Tremendously. You don't know if you're talking to a real person anymore, right? You can actually get a robocall, and you're thinking you're talking to someone, and you say something like, "I'm not interested," and you hear, "Oh, that's great," and they go on with their presentation because they're not real. So people need to know that you're real, and we've had a lot of people get taken advantage of. Every day on the news, I listen to somebody get taken advantage of. Right? I've gone through it. We've all gone through it.
So face to face
is the way to go right now. And here's the thing: that's when you build relationships. And you know what? Lead generation is not all talking about real estate. Lead generation is building relationships.
Right.
lead generation is like getting people to talk about their problems and their situations, because if you do that and build that relationship, then that lead generation actually creates a nurture, and you end up actually doing business with them.
So then let's go through the classic path of building leads, right? How to become an agent, how to cultivate your audience. So the first thing that everyone will ever tell you is number one is identify who your sphere of influence is. You know, who are the people that you know? Who are you friends with? Your family members, mild acquaintances. Maybe you're part of some, chess club, or Italian American chess masters, or whatever it would be, right? Mm-hmm. And so create a list of everybody you know, and then you start by getting in contact with them. Maybe meet them for coffee, right?
Well, how's it going, Joe? What question always comes up? What you been up to? Right? What's going on in your life? Right? So I'm glad you asked. That's what I've been doing lately. I actually got my real estate license, and I joined this awesome company. And stop. Don't go any further than that, because in an average or regular conversation, we don't expand. Right. So why do real estate agents expand? Because they get excited, and they feel that they have to tell the whole story.
Yeah. Here's everything I know.
Yeah. So it is. So calm down. Have conversations, and let them get to the real estate question, not you.
Right. So it's an introduction. Your first conversation is just an introduction to the fact that you're a realtor. Talk to them about anything. Talk to them about their kids, their wives, their dog, their kayaks, whatever it is. But make sure, have a real conversation, but just let them know at some point. Go, hey, if it never comes up, if they never ask you, just let them know. So, oh, hey, I don't know if you know, but I changed careers, or I changed brokerages, or whatever it would be, right? If you haven't done this, start with that sphere of influence, and just let them know. Say, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a realtor, and just so if you have any friends that might be buying or selling, or maybe just relocating here from New York or California, wherever it would be, just let them know that you know a realtor, and I will take care of the way I would take care of a friend.
And I think you need to really key in on the fact that don't concentrate so much on your SOI, your sphere of influence, because there's a lot of agents that come into this business. They talk to their friends and their family. They sell what they can sell, and then they're done. Right. Because that's just the beginning. I want you to remember this, and if you're taking notes, I want you to remember this. You will do more business with the people that you haven't met yet than the people that you know already. So we need to concentrate on practicing. If I was in business doing this, I'd be practicing my presentation on you. Right? So you can tell me, well, you know what, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that.
Right.
Ask people for advice, or I say, hey, I need your opinion on something, right? These are all things that you practice. Practice on those family members and on those friends. But you know what? Business will come out of it, but that's not your main goal. Because I will tell you this, once you stop focusing on your family, business will start.
I actually believe that your sphere of influence is really your sphere of advocates, right? The easiest thing to do is build, trust with people you know. Don't be selling them all the time, right? But cultivate them as an audience to refer to you. Like your focus should be more about referrals, and not sorry for insurance professionals out there, but not the old-fashioned insurance way. And who do you know?
Yeah.
And anyone else?
Yeah.
Anyone in the airplane industry? Anyone in the right? So not that, but letting them know. So number one, when you call your sphere of influence, you're identifying the people that the first tier would be the people that believe in you and know you do a good job. So let's say you work for the county clerk, and you were this just amazing go-getter, and you saw all these people coming in for new construction or whatever it would be, and you were like, I'm getting my real estate license. Those people that you worked with would be like, man, that person, they were just a killer at work. They got everything done. Anytime I had a question or anytime I need something done right away, I handed that to that person, and it was done. Those are the people you call. Call those people that you've done a great job for. Those people, because your work ethic is really important. Or maybe if you are a bartender or a server, but you have amazing people skills. Well, use those people skills. Communicate and keep following up. But the main thing is to ask people, to let them know that, hey, I'm just getting started, and I would love your support. You know, if you know somebody, if somebody just comes to you and says, "Oh my gosh, do you know a realtor?" The answer is yes. You know me. You know, and I will take care of them. You know, then, right?
So I like to approach the psychology behind what you just said, because I think what you just said was very, very important. But let's go back to that. Just one more layer. You just need to be able to let people know in your sphere of influence and people that you meet, who you are, what you do, and you don't need to do a few things.
Right.
Because see, here's something that the human mind cannot control: recollection. If you get into someone's head and it's way back in that little storage bank that's in the back of your head, and then I see you walking down the street and it comes to my front, oh, there's Joe. Oh, that's right, he's a realtor. Okay, that's more important and actually is more impactful, because you didn't do it, they did it, and they can't stop it. Once it happens, and it will never stop. Our job is to plant seeds. Our job is to let people know who we are, what we do, who we're with, and be excited about that to a point, but not to do it every single time. Has anybody ever experienced a ghosting? Right? You ever figured out why they're ghosting you? Oh, there's Keith again. He's going to ask me about real estate. Who do I know? Right? They're not going to pick up.
Right.
So how about if I start bringing value to that phone call? Hey, I just wanted to give you a call today because I want to talk about interest rates. Right? I mean, look, we're part of a company that has a billionaire that gets on the phone, gets on the horn with us twice a week, and talks about facts and figures and what we need. Man, utilize that. I write that stuff down all the time. That's my coaching points. That should be agents' points to put on YouTube, right? To put on Facebook, put on TikTok, whatever. Just get out there and make start sounding like you know what you're talking about. Right?
You know, so if you're old enough to remember the family newsletters, right? Where people would, you know, at the end of the year or Christmas, they'd send you a Christmas card, and then that card would be a letter with some photos, and it would tell you everything that the Smith family ever did that whole year.
Well, that's going way back, Joe.
Right, yeah, at least 3 years. Again, PC, pre-COVID. Yeah, PC.
BC,
before COVID. BC, there you go. But, you know, so you can do the same thing in a video. So if you're on Facebook and you have your sphere of influence, you know, do a video letter, you know. You go, hey, I thought I'd update all my friends. You know, this is what's going on. You know, little Bobby, you know, he's got 4 teeth now. He's chewing through everything just like the puppy. Little Ella, you know, she's got big girl pants now, and, you know, all those kind of things. And then you know, my wife's doing this, and then, you know, and then we're been on vacation here and there and there and there. And then I started a new career in real estate. Right? That's it. Be done. You just made that's it. And I love it. Right? That's the end. And right? And say, I hope to have coffee with some of you guys soon. So talk to you soon. Right? And then when you call people, you know, I watch, you know, I'm lucky enough to have my desk right next to somebody who's one of the top agents in our market. And she wildly outranks me. But what she is like, I have my close friends that I've been close to for literally 40 years. And we talk every day, but I'm not, my natural inclination isn't to stay in touch with all my acquaintances. You know, I sort of come and contact them when something arises. Like my kayak buddy, when I go on a kayak trip, I'll give him a call. Or, you know, my tennis buddy, I play tennis once a year, I call him. Or golfer, my other golfer, I call him once every 5 years. Right? So whatever it would be, right? But that's when I'm watching these great realtors, you know, those 1 in 1,000s. They literally get on the phone and go, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Oh my gosh, how you doing? We need to get together. But they don't just keep saying lip service. They actually get together. They go, oh, I'm going to be over on your side of town tomorrow. You want to grab a cup of coffee and hang out? And then just go out and spend 30 minutes hanging out with somebody and say, oh, I got to run real estate. Yeah. Right? And they get it. But, you know, it is while it is audience cultivation, right? You're building your advocates and things like that. It feels so good. You're connecting with friends. You're connecting with people that you've already known and deepening a relationship. And so if you can commit, you know, 2 hours a week to just connecting with people, having a cup of coffee. You know, I do coffee with prospective clients. So if I add another cup of coffee with friends, I'll be, you know, fired up by the end of the day.
Yeah, but Joe, never drink alone.
Never drink alone.
Always have somebody with you. I don't care what it is, if it's water, or if it's
Right.
Coke, or if it's coffee, or if it's a drink. Just don't drink alone and have a conversation.
Right.
Get to know people. People know once you have instilled in them who you are, they know who you are.
Right.
If you don't talk about it, look, I'm a takeaway closer. I have been for many, many years. And if I tell you that you don't want to do something, you'll want to do it.
Right.
So don't push yourself on people. Just let people know, and then talk about everything else that you guys have in common. Everybody knows their auto mechanic. When their car starts messing up, they know who to call. You get a toothache, you know who to call, but you don't think about your dentist every day. And if you do, we really need to talk, right? So the same thing with real estate. Just be. I want to say something too. If you're taking notes, write this one down. People will do business with you because they like you.
Sure.
People will do business with you because they build a relationship with you, not because you're a realtor.
Right.
Your realtor is just something that you do. Right? You find a great doctor, and why do you stick with them? Because you like him. He gives you good advice. He or she gives you good advice. He or she is interested in your health. That's why you're still there. It's not because he's charging you more.
Right.
Right.
As a professional, right, it's disappointing sometimes that it's not because I'm great at what I do. It's because they like me. And that's really funny. For me, it's more important for someone to do business with me because I'm really good than it is because they know, like, or trust me. But the truth is right, know, like, trust, those are the three reasons people do business. And then I do a really good job is probably 6th, 7th on the list.
But they keep coming back to you because of that.
Even if they ask you those questions about how good of a job you do, the truth is that they want to like you in that process.
They do.
And so if you don't expand that relationship audience, right, you're never going to get it. And if you don't talk to people, if you're just texting, then it's purely transactional. There is no relationship. And if you even get a deal with them, it's a single transaction that comes to an end until another realtor breaks in and becomes a good friend of theirs, right? Once that happens, you're done. And remember, it starts with family is the number one reason they choose a realtor. Then friends, right? And then it's their trust, their extended sphere of influence. Mm-hmm. So you need to become a part of their sphere of influence, and that moves on to cultivation. So maybe when you at some point when you talk to your sphere of influence, create an email campaign that is it's informational. It's a resource where you're not going to email them every day, right? Not that converting campaign. This is a stay in touch campaign. This is like, just like what's going on in your world. Like I said, just little snippets, and then what's going on in real estate in the market. Like just send your friends the update. And what that does is if they want to read it, great. If not, they know you're delivering expertise. And it's going out every month. It's a great way to just as a gentle reminder without ever asking them to do business or without ever asking them to send you a referral again. You ask them one time, and then you're sending them these gentle reminders. And maybe, I saw somebody's signature in their email said, my greatest praise is a referral.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And that's it's a great little line. Something like that would be wonderful. So, all right, so sphere of influence. So work your sphere of influence. Don't necessarily sell to them. You're going to, grab the low-hanging fruit, I'm sure. But you have to remember that it's hard to be king in your own court. So that means it's hard for people that, people in my family, it's hard to see them, for them to see me as anything other than a dork or a goofy dad, Dad Humor Joe or whatever.
It's okay.
Right? And which is fine. So that, but they'll refer me because they love me and things like that. Right. So then now moving on to other things that are free, right? They're sweat equity introductions. So door knocking is that would be my first way, right? That's a direct approach to go getting customers. If you have an open house, the greatest excuse is to go to a neighborhood that you have an open house in and knock every door. If it's a gated community, go to the neighborhoods outside of it and say, hey, we're having, right? Think of most gated communities are a step out of the open community. So
right.
It's a step up, or whatever. It has that appeal, whether the houses are less value or whatever, doesn't really matter. But you go out there and just invite people to your open house and let them know that you help both buyers and sellers. And that's really it. Have a conversation. I find when people door knock, though, they have something in their head they want to say. They say it and then they leave. And remember, the whole point of door knocking is to create a relationship. Is stay there and try to talk to them. Right? If they talk to you, don't leave until the conversation's over. Maybe like if you feel you get to that point where it's been languishing, the conversation's starting to falter. Like I was at one and the husband was in the door and he was wonderful and he just talked forever and the conversation wasn't going to die. All of a sudden his wife walked over and I knew that was her cue to cut him off and move on. And so I reached in and sort of like welcomed her to the conversation for a few minutes. And then I was like, all right, well, hey, we got more doors to knock. We got to invite more people to come to our open house. So look forward to seeing you guys again, that kind of thing. Hope I hear from you. Right. Yeah. And that was it. And, I didn't get his phone number, but I got his name, all that stuff. I know where he works. And so I went to Property Appraiser, looked up his information, and I sent him postcards. And it was great to meet him. He was new to the area, and I invited him out to a cup of coffee with my phone number. So it hasn't happened yet. I'll send one more, tell him the coffee was really good. I went alone. That'll, I'll say something like that. Because, they probably saw the postcard.
Sure.
So anyway, so that, door knocking, go through, walk with a purpose. Don't lollygag through a neighborhood. Walk like you're meant to. Like I have to get to all these doors. Like it's really important that I speak to these people. If they see you just slowly shuffling up to the door, to their doorbell, the Ring camera, or through their front window, they're going to close it. And if you walk up there like you're going to talk to somebody,
something to say,
right? Yeah. They're sort of like, what are they here for? Who is that? Is everybody okay? Right? And they come in, and then when they open the door, never be in the doorway. You can imagine Keith being in the door. He would fill the frame. There'd be no daylight coming through, right? So
I resemble that.
Yeah. So you take a step back and you sort of turn around and you look at the flowers in their garden or whatever, and they open the door and you go, oh, hey, right? And then
you got distance between you, right?
Exactly.
And you're building that conversation because in 10 seconds they're gonna like you or not,
right?
And just take it with that way, but come with purpose. Here's the thing about open houses. If you don't have an open house, you can talk about other open houses. There's a house down the street. Here's another thing. Look at your opportunities. Take everything that happens to you in real estate and use it as an opportunity. Example: you're working with a buyer and you show them in a neighborhood. And you're like, wow, this is a really nice neighborhood. We need to stop selling houses and start selling neighborhoods. Because if they don't like that house, hey, what do you think of the neighborhood? Oh, I love it. If I found a house in this neighborhood that you like, would it be something that you would consider? Absolutely. Well, they just gave you reason to do your job. So now you get to go through with purpose. I have a buyer who wants to live in this neighborhood. We showed them the house down the street. They didn't like it. They need a fourth bedroom. Do you know anybody who has a fourth bedroom in this neighborhood that wants to sell? So see, this is how you create content. You create database, right? Database is your business. Follow-up is your money.
When you walk around door knocking, do you have a notebook?
I do. I usually have a clipboard.
Okay, so you walk in, when you're done, you walk away, you take the notes, and then you go to the next.
Sometimes I take notes right in front of them. Okay. Because what does that show? If I'm taking notes when you're talking, it shows interest in what you're saying. Right? And I'm older now, so I can do that because that's my second brain.
Right.
Actually,
I don't do that.
It's my first brain now.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, so we did door knocking, right? So now let's talk about your sphere of influence, so let's talk about we'll get to Facebook and all those kind of things later, but I think we should let's see if we can tighten up our timelines.
How about person to person? Don't forget your realtor friends.
True.
Don't forget your realtor friends.
You should have referral sources.
Exactly. Right. You know what? Here's the thing. You should have 100 realtors in your database at least. When you get a listing, guess who the first 100 people you're contacting, right? When they get a listing, you're going to be part of that group. You know how many deals are done between people that are friends with realtors? I mean, a lot. And
when somebody's on vacation or whatever, they get a lead, they don't want to lose it, they give it to somebody they know and trust, right? And so, we share a friend, Kyle. Kyle everybody refers to Kyle. Like that is an amazing talent to get. Yeah, so many people referring to him. I think it's wonderful.
That's business.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's business.
Money, money, right?
Don't forget that. I mean, because we need to kind of get back around. That's a whole other conversation. Right. But that we need to get back around to actually realtors. We need to be working together. We're not we are in competition, but we're not really. We're
cooperative competition.
It's collaboration. That's what I like about that.
Absolutely. All right. So then, again, right? That sphere of influence. Then moving to, let's say, maybe a nonprofit, a charity. So maybe you get involved in a charity, something that you can throw your back into if you believe in, supporting, the Budweiser people of America, whatever it would be. I'm just trying to think of something funny.
Right. Networking.
But any kind of network. But so for example, what's important to me is I have my son. My oldest son had cancer for a long time, and he survived. And he's healthy, and everything's great. But what's really important to me, the Leukemia Society, American Cancer Society, those are really important to me, and children's cancer foundations and things like that.
St. Jude is one of mine.
Yeah, mine was St. Baldrick's. So St. Baldrick's, I would shave my head every year and raise money, so it was fun. I did that for 17
How many
years.
would like to see that? I think we
right?
ought to,
maybe next year. Yeah, I grew my hair back for a few years. Also, and on behalf of him, at some point, it was like he needed to move on from being the cancer kid, right? So he's been 10 years cancer free, and but we shaved our head, and we raised money for a long time, but it was important to me, and that audience, just because I was there and I volunteered and I did a lot of work and they saw how hard I worked, people would say, what would you do? What do you do? And then I would give an answer and they would do business with me. So you don't really have to sell. People just like to work with people they see work hard and they right? They can trust. So
and that's part of that networking, just getting out there, talking to several different types of people, different businesses. This is kind of why we're doing this.
Right. This is, for us, this is our way to give back to realtors, right? So Keith is a coach, so if you ever need a coach, right, you hire him as a coach. In real estate, I own a marketing company for real estate. So if you need that, then you call us. We do listings, all that stuff, right? So the point being is we're out here giving up free resources, knowing that we are cultivating an audience. The fun thing is that we do it because we actually really enjoy doing it.
I love doing it. I look forward to Wednesday mornings.
We understand the dual purpose of it. We know, right? I mean, so it's more than just we're trying to get leads, What we're trying to do is we're trying to create good content. We're trying to give something of value to you. And that's important. So let's move over to social media. So something like this. So you don't have to do these 30-minute sessions. Keith and I, right? So we both do education and training and all those things. It's really a big part of what our business is. So this format works for us, right? Often we have a third party sitting in between us, and we'll talk to them about what's going on. Like I think one of our next one's coming up is a title agent, right? So we'll talk to her about title, how important it is, and why you need to select a good title, on and on and on. So it's a good resource for you. So if for no other reason that you listen to these podcasts are so that you can learn, you'll have in your mind, if we ever meet on the street, you'll be like, oh, hey. Or if we're up against each other for a listing and they go, you say, have you talked to any of the realtors? And they say, oh, yes, I've talked to Joe Matuella. And you'll be like, oh, well, Joe's a good guy, right? Yeah, and I find that when you know somebody, be honest about who they are. Never trash anybody when you're doing that, but say something real, because I find that when I know lots of realtors because of my marketing company, in addition to working in real estate, but because of that, these guys. And I genuinely believe in my clients, and I'll say, oh, Andrew Sanders, oh, he's fantastic. Yeah, he's going to be a tough competition. I understand you have a tough decision ahead of you. So those things are important. And a buyer or a seller, when they're deciding, that's important. They want to know, right? They want to know what kind of a person you are, and I think that shows integrity.
It comes first. So we have the social, we have the idea is to find ways to get in front of people.
Right.
Another thing, right? Yard sales.
I want to hear about this.
Is it getting in front of people? Hey, look, here's what I try to do. I try to create things to have fun, because I need to deprogram myself as a realtor and just be a person. So you know what? Yard sales, flea markets, things of that nature. You go around, you just talk to people. Hey, how you doing? Doing great. Fine. Great. Oh, wow, that would really work well with my real estate company. Matter of fact, I got a client that would be perfect for, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get that for her. You'd be surprised when conversations start, just because they now know who you are. Because guess who's an entrepreneur too? They are, right?
Absolutely.
People in yard sales, they're just trying to get rid of materials. And guess what? When you're getting rid of materials, why are you moving? Right? So you have that conversation, okay? See, the idea is to be creative, but also, I'll give you an example real quick. When I first started this business, I found ways to be with my family. Right? I needed to be with my family, so I wasn't the workaholic, right? So I trained my children. Look, you train people on how you want to be treated, it starts with your children too. So my two boys, they would come to me on Saturday and they would say, Dad, do you have an open house? And I said, no. And they jump up and down. They go into the room and they get dressed. You know why? Because Daddy's taking a big out for breakfast. And then we're going to go look at some open houses. So the two boys and my wife are out actually looking at the house, and I'm talking to the real estate agent, right? And I'm having fun with it. How's things going? Going great. Wow. I said, how long you had it on the market? 60 days. Ouch. How's the seller feeling about that? Oh man, they're really starting to get a little itchy. I said, would you like to have some help? Well, where are you getting at? Hey, I would love to be the buyer's agent on this because this is a really nice home. I think I could find a buyer. Do you mind if I do some marketing? Absolutely, no problem. And some are going to get a little itchy because they don't understand what you're doing.
Right.
But here's the thing: if you put it in the MLS, you're asking for other realtors' help. I'm just verbally coming in and saying, hey, I'd like to be that guy. Right. So then you do your marketing and market that neighborhood. And you know who you're marketing? Yourself. I can't tell you how many times, Joe, I got into a neighborhood because someone else got the listing and I had 3 more listings behind it because I went out and talked about that property, but I was the one talking about that property. See? Right. So there's so many different ways to get leads. Right. There's so many different ways to follow up with, to actually converse with people, but you gotta follow up.
Right. Absolutely. And I find, right, so that's the trick is everything you do, you parlay it into one more thing, into one more benefit.
It's a layer.
So yes. So we kind of just lightly touched, so if you do social media, you can find a topic. Again, you said, one thing that realtors do, they like to eat and then just go to a restaurant. And that's it. If that would be your thing. He did that was somebody else claimed that, so don't pick that one.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but come up with something to that effect, and it's a great way. It's a fun little thing. They don't have to be these long productions, right? We have 3 cameras, we have lighting, all this fun stuff, but we really don't. You don't have to go this far, right?
Get a little tripod for $10. Put your phone on it and sit with a nice view behind you and just talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And short and sweet or long and blustery, whatever your style is, it doesn't matter. So that's, social media, pick a platform where people are. If you're, I personally find that, Facebook seems to have the most buyers, Instagram, and then TikTok. TikTok is great for building notoriety. A lot of people looking at it. I don't know how many realtors are actually doing business on it. I don't get much feedback in my marketing from that. Mm-hmm.
It's more of a fun spot.
Yeah, and again, what's great is you can create the content there and share it across other platforms, which is good.
Yeah.
Same thing, YouTube. So, but once you create these things, then you have to start paying for ads, promote it, right, and grow your audience. Everything takes time. What you're doing today is, I always tell people, whatever you're working on today is going to manifest really in 90 days to 6 months, right? So that's where you're looking. 3 to 6 months down the road is what you're working for at all times. As far as buying leads, right? So I'm going to start with Google Ads, right? So you want to be doing, pay-per-click, some sort of ad campaign to drive them to a data capture on your website. You can use IDX so they can come in, log in, and then start doing searches. Make sure you're not just pushing them to IDX where they show up and they have to log in. Tell them why they have to log in.
Right.
One of the things that I do is I tell my clients when I talk to a prospect on the phone, I remind them that. So I said, did you notice how a lot of agents were calling you? They're like, yeah. So my assumption would be is you came to my website and you logged in and you filled out information and said, I received it. But if you've gone to one of those master websites like Zillow or Realtor, they sell your phone number to everybody. And so what we recommend is that you just stick to our website. It's the same MLS feed that they all have. And this way you look. And what I can do is when you're searching there, I'm notified of your searches and I can see what you're looking for and I can help refine that search so we can find your dream home quicker, right? This is how we support, right? It's not artificial intelligence, it's real intelligence. So I can look at it and I can make a guess. It's not just data points. I can see that there's a certain feel about that house and I can apply that. AI can't do it.
And give them a reason to stay with you. What would you say?
To give a reason to stay with me? Well, I'm stumped. What do I say to? Yeah,
there you go.
Share.
We share with that. So say, hey, look, since you have a couple options here as a buyer, you can go and you can actually interview about 10 or 15 different real estate agents, or you can train me how to treat you, and I'll make sure I'll take care of all the other agents.
Oh my goodness, that was good. Boom. Yeah, mic drop. That's beautiful. Yeah. That's funny. That is 1,000 times better than what I was saying, and that was what I was saying, but without saying it. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Right? So just give them that reason, and they go, Oh yeah, and see who's control now.
Right.
It's their control.
So then from, so that cultivation is going to be the same of any paid ads, right? So finding vendors that are real, that's the biggest challenge. So the first thing I have to say is, when somebody calls you as a real estate agent, know that 50% of phone calls you get are going to be scams. So if you're buying somebody that reached out to you and you didn't vet them fully, right? They can have a website, they can have all those things, but go to Scam Report, go to things like that, and find out whether they're real or not. Because if not, you're going to send $2,000 check off, and I don't know any agent that hasn't done that. And then, but also know, just because you didn't cultivate any leads, it doesn't mean that they're not real. Let's say if you paid them $2,000 and you didn't convert any, at the same time, it's like ice cream. There's lots of different flavors out there, and that style, what they're bringing in, isn't working for the way you're selling. I've seen that even from our own lead generation that we do. We have, we developed 3 of the top 5 websites in our market, and 2 of those are with top agents, the top 10, top 20, and then the other one is with one that doesn't convert a lot. They get a lot of leads, so they're doing well, but statistically they have a very low conversion. And so it's not that it's the same kind of style. What we do is the same thing. The targets are slightly different because they're geographically positioned, but it comes down to how good you are, right? So keep in mind is, if that's not working for you, you have to not only look at the leads that you're calling, you have to look at what is it that you're doing, right? So my suggestion is start asking other agents, right? So every market has different successful lead gen companies that market there. And the ones that I like best are the ones that have exclusivity. So if I ask Keith, say, hey, who are you using? And his first thought is, I don't want to tell him who I'm using, but I'll say, well, do you use any lead gen that's exclusive to zip codes or geographic areas? He'll be like, oh yeah, definitely. Well, let me know who they are and I'll go to the areas that you're not in, right? And that's usually not a threat, because when you start, you're usually trying to expand as far as you can possibly go.
And then let's refer to each other.
Right, exactly. So now you and your buddy have cornered a whole market. I know, like, I have a lead gen that I buy, and we cover basically 3 counties, right? St. Lucie South. So it's whatever. But again, you do the research, you call them, and then go from there. If they call you, vet it out thoroughly. Like I said, just because they call you doesn't mean they're in business. I know, and I've run across amazing crooks that build out websites, everything, and it's just totally bogus. They take your money and it disappears, right? They keep a website up for a certain period of time, or if they're in the Mauritius Isles, there's no extradition laws, so they just keep their websites up forever,
right.
Until it's blocked by the FBI and stuff. So those are trouble, right? So anyway, so ask around, do your research, and then follow up. There's some that most take a fee up front, right? They have to set things up, they have to pay because they don't know whether you're going to sell or not. And then again, if they don't take a referral fee, to me, those are just phone numbers they get. If they make part of their income off of referral fees, that's a
little bit more bona fide lead, because otherwise you're just getting a list from out of a phone book,
right,
or a list, or a white pages, or whatever the new thing is, right? You have a list of names and phone numbers. That's how I started my business.
Right.
Was just getting into that, but it's a little bit different now, so you have to kind of go with that. And I think one thing that we need to really hone in on, and I know you have anything else that we need to lead generate on, or
no,
I really want to touch a little bit on follow up.
So paid ads, social media, paid ads on social media, and sphere of influence. I think those are 3 things. If you're not spending 50% of your time concerned with lead generation, you're really not going to make money. You need to, in the beginning, all your effort. Like you have trainings and things like that, but most people they focus on the busy work. They don't focus on the growing your audience work. Yeah. And again, I see people that come through on our teams and on other teams in one group that come in and never spend time. They become the greatest experts in real estate and all the systems and tools and the software, but they never sell a listing, or they never sell to a buyer. and that's a shame.
It is, but they need to work that. So I think that's really important that we have all those things. The key is to do several things, and then and you lean off that. But activity creates activity, Joe. So it doesn't mean that one thing that you're doing isn't working. It's putting you in the right mindset that you can do other things as well. But I think the second most important thing is to follow up with the individuals. Here's the biggest kickback that I think I'm getting from agents is that they're afraid to.
Hold on a second. There you go. I was going to say switch cameras. Keep going.
Oh. we need to remember that. Where did I go with that?
Yeah.
Man, that's good. You see what
we're
happens? We're
gonna have to rewind. Sorry,
you see what
I was looking at the camera and it's just staring at me. He's talking away, and I'm like, we're gonna have to change this and post edit. So
you see the number one trait of a real estate agent? Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel.
I just did that, right?
Right.
So where was I going with that? Okay, so follow up. People in general, in the public, right? They are expecting phone calls. They're expecting people to have stuff in the mail. They're kind of expecting that. Some don't like it. Some do. They don't like it till they need it. But as agents, we're always thinking about that. Well, we're not looking for those people. We're looking for the people that want us to follow up. See, understand that a for sale by owner will not even pick up the phone until the 8th or 10th time that we call. They're testing us. I think all the sellers are testing us. Sometimes the buyers test us to see if we're actually that person that will work for them, right? So don't be afraid, but don't just call and talk about real estate. Call and talk about, hey, I just want to check in on you, see how you doing, right? I'd talk to you a little bit. How's house going, right? What do you need to train me, right?
You know, it's funny you say that. I had a call I made the other night. The guy went to our website and he said, I want to see this house. So I got on the phone, I called him, and as I was talking to him, we literally. I said, I go, hey, if you don't mind me asking, I go, are you retired? You still working? He's like, well, I'm sort of, I sort of do a little consulting. I'm like, oh, hey, I said, I own a consulting company. So what kind of consulting do you do? He's like, I do PR, I do, and he went through, he's like, well, I used to be the guy in charge of NASA, like he was second in command. I was like, wow. I go, that's really funny. So he went through all these things. I said, well, it's really funny. I said, we lived a parallel life. I go, I was sort of like, you were up on top of the ocean, I was swimming underneath the current, I said, but I was a contractor to NASA. And then he was like, other things, all these different, government things and government contracting and PR and television and media. And I was like, everything he did, I was like, I did something in those. And so we talked for an hour without ever going back to real estate. And then when it came down to asking for business, he flat out said, no. He goes, that's not how I do business. He goes, I would never use a buyer's agent because I'm going to negotiate better than you are. And I said to him, I go, that's really funny that you say that, because I said, in my career, my job was negotiating. So that's what I did. I negotiated contracts. I negotiated for all these different people. So I said, I've negotiated thousands of contracts, and I'm sure that, you've done your fair share, but it's like anything, if you've put in 10,000 hours doing something versus somebody's 500, usually that person who put in 10,000 is doing a much better job. I go, but at the same time too, I go, if doing it yourself is what makes you happy, then I support you, go do that. I go, but you have to admit, we had a lot of fun for this last hour. So I said, I'm not going to waste that. Let's go meet for a beer. You live right next to this, my favorite beer garden. Let's go check it out. I'll grab a beer. One day I'm going to drive through town and we'll say hi. And he's like, I love that, right? So now he's part of my sphere of influence, right? Exactly. I lost him as a buyer or a seller, but I gained him as a sphere of influence. Yeah. And again, exactly. He might get to a point that's complicated and call me for advice. That's probably great advice.
That's great. That's the one reason why we need to work together, because we're both great negotiators. The seller ain't got a chance with both of us. Both of us working on that.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So get him involved. Get him involved.
It's funny. It's funny that you're a coach because you can sell. But that's the whole thing. That's the fun part about even doing this.
You have to sell yourself through someone, right? Not yourself because of you. Right. So you have to sell yourself based upon what their need is.
Right.
So you run their need. You agree with people, and people will agree. Will start to agree with you. So find out what that thing is, and then like negotiating. Hey, man, that's going to be awesome. Selling, you got a chance. With my background in negotiation and yours, man, we got them. Let's just pick up a beer and have a conversation, right? You just want to plant a seed and walk away, and then you're going to pick that back up again.
Right. No, absolutely.
And that's really what this is all about, is building 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 relationships with people.
Right.
That's really what this is about.
And that's exactly it. So it's all right. So lead generation to cultivation. Without cultivation, it's a waste of time. So so remember, if you're a new agent or if you're on a team, if you're not spending your own money, I would say majority of top agents are spending money on part of their lead cultivation. Whether it's somebody working on your website, whether you own or control it all, or you're paying somebody to provide you a service and provide leads, that's important. Make sure you have a budget for that, but make sure you do that work where you cultivate your audience, right? So I think we should wrap it up. This is one of our longer ones. We did pretty good, though.
There's a lot of information to talk about when you talk about lead generation and cultivation.
Yeah, so maybe what we'll do is we'll break this into segments. We'll talk about paid leads because I think there's some examples we can give out in the future. Same thing with the sphere of influence lead gen, or growing your sphere of influence through social media, and doing things organically. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as always, man.
Always.
So
Great.
thanks for being in Shop Talk for Realtors. I'm Joe Matuella.
Coach Keith Dean.
All right, and we will see you next time.